Welcome everyone, John Denton here, and this webinar is for all of my mentoring group participants, coaching and consulting clients and invited guests. And it is based upon the content we covered in a recent business owner mentoring group workshop. Today I'm going to be talking about Marketing 101. But before we get into that, I'll just cover a few housekeeping matters for those who are new to webinars. So what you see on your screen now is a picture of the control panel. So at the moment your microphones are all on mute and I've got control of those. I can turn them on individually or turn them all on together, which I will do from time to time so that I can get some input from you. But somewhere on your screen you should see a strip similar to the one that you see on the right hand side of this slide here. And if you want to type in a message, chat, raise your hand or anything like that, then just click on the white arrow in the little yellow, little orange box, and then you'll be able to type questions in. And the most important thing is to know how to raise your hand. So on your control panel there will be a picture of a hand. If you click on that, it indicates to me that you want to say something and I can turn your microphone on. So to make sure that you're all hearing me and that you've understood that bit, can you find your control panel and click on raise your hand, please? Thank you. Thank you. Just one more to go. So click on the white button in the orange background, expand your control panel out, and then click on raise your hand. Okay, that's how it all works. So I'm going to lower those. And we'll move on. So we will review the content from the last workshop, which, as I say, was Marketing 101. Introduce some new content and answer any questions, have a question and answer session for you, and then tell you a few things to do in preparation for the next workshop. So first of all, we're going to do a little exercise here. So what I'd like you to do is get a sheet of paper just very quickly. You can always do this after the session. But get a piece of paper, and what I want you to do is I'm just getting my highlighter set up here. On that piece of paper, I want you to put 9 dots shaped something like this. You'll probably be a little bit more accurate than me because I'm having to do this with a mouse, but 9 dots in this sort of shape as accurately as you can. And then what I want you to do is to start anywhere on any one of the 9 dots and start drawing a line, a straight line, must be a straight line, through the dots without taking your pen or pencil off the paper and without going back over any of the lines. And what I want you to do is draw straight lines through all 9 dots in 4 lines. So you start anywhere, start moving forward and go through the dots, keeping the line straight, not picking your pen up or going backwards, then moving forward in a total of 4 lines, go through all 9 dots. I'll show you. Most people, when we do this in a workshop, take quite a lot of time and never actually get the answer. So I'm going to give you the answer now, and you can have a look at this again later. So I'm going to start here in the top right hand dot, and I'm going to go down like that, and then I'm going to go along like that. If I had a steady hand, it would have gone through the dots. And then I'm going to go up like that. That's 3 lines. And then I'm going to come down like that. So that's covered all 9 lines. I'm going to turn your microphone on and see what you thought of that. So you're now all, your microphones are on. Has anyone seen that before?
Yes, I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, not exactly.
No? Okay, what do you think the purpose of it is? Why do you think we do that exercise?
Think outside the square?
Yeah. Think outside the square, or think outside the dots. Most people just assume that you've got to stay inside the square, and I never said that when I gave you my instructions. But most people automatically stay inside the square, and of course you can't do it. You can't complete the exercise successfully if you stay inside the square. And in introducing Marketing 101, that's, you know, when you're marketing, you've really got to think outside the square. You've got to think differently to everybody else. And that's the point of that little exercise there. So you can entertain all your friends and that at parties now and blame me. So the 9 dots exercise, we call it. I'm going to turn your microphones back onto mute for now and go on to the next slide. So marketing requires a different paradigm shift, and that's what people get when they do that exercise, to see that, hey, you can go outside the square, and gee, I never thought of that, is a paradigm shift. It's a shift in thinking. So, you know, you really need to think about your marketing and think differently and come up with some different ideas so that you can stand out from the crowd. Because if you think the same as everybody else and you do your marketing the same as everybody else, well, you're just going to mingle into the crowd. And the question is, you know, why should people come to you and buy from you rather than from the competition? So how do you make yourselves different? Those people who don't make themselves different generally end up competing on price, and that's really not a good space to be in if price is your only differentiator. So have a think about, what are you going to do to be different? And then we have to come up with something different. So we need to let our very best prospects know about it. So marketing is about how we communicate what we do with those target prospects. But don't confuse marketing with advertising. Okay, more about that later. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions now. I'm going to run a couple of polls quickly, which you can answer on your screen and get some input from you. So the first one is this. Okay, so have you ever paid for marketing, to have marketing copy and material produced and then actually used it? Okay, so you've got a few options there to click on. So please select your answer. Is it never, yes once or twice, yes several times, or yes I do it all the time? So just click on one of those answers. Give you a couple more seconds, and I'm closing the poll now. So let's have a look at the answers. It was 67%, this should come up on your screen in a moment, 67% said yes once or twice, and 33% no, never. So that's interesting. quite often people do it, this sort of thing, once or twice, and then because they don't get a result or they're not sure of the result, they don't do it again. I'm going to ask another quick question now, which is this. One of the reasons that people only do it once or twice and then don't do it again is because they're not sure of the return that they got. So from when you did spend time and money and effort doing that, do you believe you got a good return on your investment? So can you click an answer on there? I'll give you a few seconds to do that. So was it yes, heaps? I think I broke even. No, it cost me money. Or I don't know. A couple more seconds. Okay, poll closed. Let's have a look at the answers on that one. So it was 67% don't know and 33% no, it cost me. So nobody broke even. Nobody got heaps of return on investment for their marketing dollars. And that's typical when you don't know how to go about it properly, which is the purpose of this webinar today. So thank you for that. When we had the workshop last week or a couple of weeks ago, I had a young lady come in and present to us, Penny Askin from Pink Piranha. And Penny helps businesses come up with a better image, better branding, better logo, stand out from the crowd. And she's kindly given me, she couldn't be on the webinar this morning, unfortunately, but she's given me some examples of the work she did, which we went through in the workshop. So I'm just going to run through those very quickly. Here we see Hill Seafood, the old, this is how they were portraying themselves. And then Penny got involved with them and said, well, hang on a minute, you know, you're situated in the hills, you do seafood, you're passionate about all kinds of other food as well. So we need to change the image. And this is what Penny came up with, which is portrays a much better image of the business. It looks much more professional, much brighter, much more up to date, and you know, it conveys a message. Yep, they're in the hills, they do seafood, but they're also passionate about any produce and the things that they sell. So a really nice makeover of the image. And the other important thing when you're looking at image and branding as well is to make sure that it appears on everything that you do. So on your emails, your letterheads, your stationery, business cards. And here's an example of what Penny did for Hill Seafood. So with compliment slips, business cards, two-sided, and letterheads. And then you can take this right, I should take it right up into your signage for the building, signage on everything, including your vehicles. So this is what their vehicle looked like before. Pretty ordinary, and then this is what it looked like afterwards. Much, much nicer, conveys a much better image and a much better picture. So the image that you put out there is absolutely critical. It's important. And here's another one and a good example of standing out from the crowd. This is Spotless Dry Cleaners, and with a tagline there of spot the difference. And of course, when you've looked at it a couple of times, you realize that the Ladybird has only got spots on half of its back, which makes it a bit different. Spot the difference. So again, that goes through all the stationery and onto the vehicle as well. So this is what the vehicle looked like. So, and I've seen that vehicle quite a few times. It really, really does stand out. So it's about having a professional image and standing out from the crowd. So what are some of the, just very quickly, some of the, because this is not about branding and logos and image, but it's about marketing. But what are some of the keys to successful brand communication? And Penny says it's about brevity, clarity, and consistency. So keep it brief, keep it short, keep it snappy, make it very, very clear, and be consistent. So everything you communicate should carry the same branding. So I'd write those down if I was you, if you didn't. In the workshop, brevity, clarity, and consistency. And if you have a tagline, it's a good idea to have a tagline. If you have a tagline, does it pack a punch or is it weak and ineffective? Because in the end, you'll be judged by the things people remember, and your logo and your tagline will be one of them. You know, there are lots of famous taglines around. I love the John Hughes one. Choose your dealer before you choose your car. Now, that's quite a long one, but it really does make him different from other car dealers. In his marketing, he's not selling cars. You can get a car anywhere. So he's saying, come to me before you choose your car. I think that's excellent marketing and makes him different. Is your logo memorable? So does it stick in people's mind? Is it timeless? In other words, you don't want it to age or go out of date over a period of time, otherwise you're going to be left with doing it again. Is it unique? Is it effective? And is it stylish and strong? So there's some of the tips from Penny about branding. So this is very top level sort of marketing image type stuff, but it's important. So Penny's slogan or tagline is "Design with a Bite," and her business is called Pink Piranha. You can Google that and find Penny, or you can go to her website, which is coming up now, which is pinkpiranha.com.au. Again, a name that you won't forget and a color that you won't forget either. So that's the first thing. Get your image consistent and strong. Now let's go back to marketing, and just before we get into marketing, let's remind you of one of my favorite points about business. Business is simple until we complicate it. So basically it comes down to two components, getting two components right, getting the maths right, getting the psychology right. And the maths refers to the figures, so you've got to make sure you're making a profit. Are you charging the right kind of money and making the right gross profit to pay the rest of your business expenses and pay yourself, of course. And when you've got that right, is your psychology right? Is the sales and marketing that your business is doing having the effect and driving customers to your business? So we've covered that a few times, but I can't labor that point enough. And of course, we all know that if we don't get them right, then we don't really have a business. We may be self-employed or have a job working for ourselves, but we don't have a business. So if we get one of them right, so let's say we get the maths right but the psychology wrong, then we go out of business slowly, because we know we're charging the right product, the right price, we're getting the right margin, but we're just not selling anything. And of course, if you get it the other way around, you get the maths wrong, so you're not making enough profit, but you get the psychology right, so you're selling lots, then you go out of business quickly. Neither of them are very good options. So of course, thing to do is to try and get them both right. So when we think of marketing, what are your thoughts on marketing? Do you think it's persuasion or manipulation? I'll take your microphones off of mute. Okay, you can all tell me now. What do you think? Is marketing persuasion or manipulation?
They're the only choices we've got.
No, you can add anything you like. Add anything you like.
I think marketing's a bit more about placement.
Placement. Meaning what, Gary?
Just positioning yourself amongst the people that you feel want your product or need your service, something like that.
So a bit like they do.
Persuasion and the manipulation comes a little bit later, perhaps.
So there is some manipulation, but you've got to get their attention first.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, like product placement in movies and things like that, TV shows. Yeah, well, anyone else got a view? Let me add a couple of pictures to this.
I think that it's more, if you've got a choice of the two, it's more likely persuasion. I don't like the sound of manipulation. That sounds like you're using a bit of coercion or whatever. So persuasion would be my preferred choice, and within that you then work out an effective marketing strategy.
Yeah, okay, Kevin, thanks for that. It comes down to, at the end of the day, if you read texts on marketing and things like that, you can call it anything you like, but at the end of the day, we are trying to motivate people to buy, and there's lots of different methods to do that. I'm going to mute your microphones again. There's a great book called Buyology. That's B-U-Y, as in buy, then .O-L-O-G-Y, by a gentleman called Martin Lindstrom, L-I-N-D-S-T-R-O-M, and he's Scandinavian. I can't remember which Scandinavian country, but he's Scandinavian, and he spent a lot of time, well, working all around the world for brands, big brands, and he's done a lot of science, a lot of research into neuromarketing. And his book, Buyology, is subtitled How Everything We Believe About Why We Buy Is Wrong. And then there's another subtitle under that, which says, Be Prepared to Have Your Cherished Beliefs Overturned. And the book, I like the book because it's based on real research, scientific research and facts and figures. And it's all about ways that brands effectively manipulate us into wanting to buying their particular product, and it's a fascinating read. So if you get the chance, get a copy and have a read of it. And if any of you watched The Checkout, the ABC program that's just finished, but it was a great series on marketing and the lengths that companies and brands go to get us to buy their product. They actually ran a piece in there, and it's been in the media as well, about, I think it was one of the big department stores in the US, one of the big chains, sent some marketing material to a young lady to her home, which her father intercepted, and it was all baby type material, selling baby products. And so her father tackled her and said, "Are you pregnant?" And she didn't actually know she was pregnant, but she was. And the store had picked it up by monitoring all the things that she'd been purchasing in the store over the previous months. And the science that they use tells the store that this person is pregnant. Absolutely amazing. That was on The Checkout, and it's been in the media as well. Because of hormonal changes and all that kind of thing, people start to buy, are attracted to different things, and it's subconscious, totally subconscious. Anyway, but have a read of the book or watch the Checkout programs on iView. So it could be considered any of these things, but it's all about how we get the clients and prospects' attention, and then how we motivate them to buy. So what are some of the primary motivators, persuaders to get people to act or buy? Well, it's about emotions. We buy on emotion and then justify on logic. That's the big rule of thumb. And of course, it's not 100% the case, but it's generally the case that emotions are more likely to get people to buy than logic. And one of the great motivators is fear, as you can see here. And another one is greed and the desire to have more, do more is a big one as well. And of course pain is another motivator, and envy, and we can go on with all the other emotions and things that come up in that. And that's why one of the most powerful forms of marketing that you can do is called emotional direct response marketing. All right, and I'm going to explain that in a bit more detail. What do we mean? Well, emotional, it's basically playing on people's emotions or appealing to people's emotions to get them to make a decision. So not logic. You know, I used the example here with my wife driving her Saab when she used to have a Saab. If you asked her why she drove a Saab, she would say because it's one of the safest cars on the road. Safety, that's the logical reason why you would drive a Saab. So when you said to her, well, if safety is important to you, why don't you drive a Volvo? That is supposed to be the safest car on the road. And her response used to be, wouldn't be seen dead driving a Volvo. So it's not about the safety, it's about the feelings that you get wrapping the vehicle around you and being seen in that type of vehicle. And by the way, my wife knows I use that example all the time, so I have her permission. So it's about emotion, and direct means you're targeting your Class A prospects. So you're targeting your niche. Hopefully you've got a niche that you market into, or it could be a number of niches, but if you're marketing into a niche, then you know a lot about that particular niche. You know exactly which buttons to push on and how to get a response from them. And that's where the response comes in. You've got to get people interacting with your marketing so that you're getting a response, you're getting some reaction, and you can measure the effect. And that's what direct response marketing is all about, is being able to measure the response, get some action going, and get some sales. So I'll just put that up so that you can see it. Emotional, people buy on emotion and justify on logic. Direct, it's targeted marketing to a niche or a specific group of people. When I ask people who their market is and they tell me everyone, then I know they haven't really got a target or a niche, and it's very difficult to market to everyone. And response, that's why people often answer that they don't know what sort of return they're getting on their marketing. They just put the message out there and then are not looking for some kind of response or something they can measure to know how effective that marketing is. Big mistake, blowing all your money. Okay, so the secret is, and again, this is something very quick and simple and easy to remember, the 3 M's. The 3 M's being market, know your niche market, and get into a niche an inch wide and a mile deep. That is a far, far more effective way to get business, is by dealing with a niche an inch wide and a mile deep. Hopefully these are all words that will stick in your mind. And that's what that online marketing questionnaire was for that I've given you. That's to help you answer questions to yourself about finding out who your niche is and who your target markets really are. Who are the people you really want to deal with? And it's not everyone. Okay? So please, if you haven't, go back and use that questionnaire, because it will really get clarity in your mind. And you may need to engage someone outside or just get someone outside to go through it with you and ask you the difficult questions that you don't want to answer necessarily or are struggling with. An external person can give you some ideas. So when you know who it is that you want to sell to, then the next thing is, well, what's the message? What am I selling? Why should people deal with me? And how am I going to communicate? I'll go into more detail on this in a few minutes. How am I going to get some emotion and some outcomes and some results into that message? And then finally, what's the media or medium that I'm going to use to communicate to that target market with? And yesterday in my other workshop, we got some good input from a couple of people about different media they use. These days everyone seems to think that social media, digital media, online, all that is the way to go with marketing. Well, yes, it may be, but it may not be as well. And we had a couple of examples yesterday of where, because of the particular people they were dealing with, who seldom go on the internet and do all that sort of thing and would delete email marketing, fax and hard copy were the two ways to get to those people and get them to take action. So it was quite interesting because those things are considered quite old-fashioned these days, but hard copy, running a customer survey with prizes and things like that worked absolutely brilliantly. And somebody else used fax rather than emails and got an excellent result that way. So you've really got to choose how you communicate your message. And the thing is, when you're trying to think about your message and how you're going to communicate with them, it's about the prospect, not the product or service, and not what you would want. So the first thing to think about is think prospect. Get inside your prospect's head. So that's a picture of a brain, just in case you were wondering, and understand what their day's like. So what do they go through that you can help them with? So what are their typical days like? Understand what a day in your prospect's life is like. And then, of course, there's opportunities that you can present them with as well. So when you're preparing your copy, solve their problem, present them with an opportunity, remove their pain, all those sort of things. And here's 8 steps that you can employ to do that. So the first thing is to identify their pain or opportunity. I will change that slide to say pain or opportunity in the orange bit at the top there. So what's the pain or opportunity that you're selling them? And what is their day like, or what could their day be like? What could their day be like if they took this opportunity? What is their day like at the moment that's causing them pain or anxiety? And then when you've identified that, this is in your marketing material. When you've identified that, then aggravate the pain. This is, really marketing 101. But what happens if they don't deal with the problem, the pain that they've got? Generally, things are going to get much worse. So you paint the picture of what it would be like if they don't solve their problem. What will be the consequences? What will be the consequences if they don't take the opportunity that you're offering? People don't like to miss out on things. So show them how they would miss out. And then present them with a solution, but present them with the generic solution. So if you're selling vitamins, then you might sell them. The generic solution would be to say, well, vitamin C, this is what you want to be taking this time of the year. Lots of vitamin C. Offer some facts around why they should be doing that, but talk in general terms and a generic solution. And then once you've got that message over, then talk about your specific solution. So why your particular brand of vitamin C? Because of the efficacy, is it called? Because if yours has got more genuine vitamin C in it, or more absorbable, or whatever. So what is it about your particular solution? In John Hughes' case, it's about his dealership and how he treats his people, not about the car. That's his point of difference. So moving on, the next one, once you've done that, so once you've said why you or your product or your service, then offer proof. Why is your product or service better than the others? Testimonials from happy clients are a wonderful way to communicate proof. If you've got statistics or scientific research that back up what you're saying, then use that as well. But that removes that barrier to people buying, or reduces the barriers to people buying, the resistance to people buying. And then make them an offer. So this is what I'm going to do for you. Offer bonuses, offer prizes, whatever it is that's going to be a little bit different, and get them to take action. And then put in your call for action. So get them to do something, even if it's only send you an email requesting a free report, or sending an email to get something, whatever it is, get them to actually do something so you know that you're getting a measurable result from your marketing. And in your call for action, create urgency. Make it a limited time or a limited quantity or whatever it is, but a reason why they should take action now rather than put it off and think about it. And then finally, if they're buying a product or service, what's your cast iron guarantee? So remove that resistance and reluctance to buy by offering a cast iron guarantee. No conditions, prompt and courteous, money back, whatever. Which brings me to another little poll that I'm going to ask you now. And that is, do you offer a guarantee for your product or service? If you believe in your product or service, why wouldn't you offer a guarantee? So 5 seconds to answer the question. Yes, unconditional, full money back, no arguments. Money back, but there are conditions. Yes, I'll give you some of your money back, or other. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's see what the result of that was. Interesting. I'm going to turn your microphones on here because the most popular, in fact, the only answer was other. So your microphones are on. Would anyone like to say what their other is? No?
I'd like to say, yep, I would.
Yep.
Yeah, I find it a bit hard in a service industry, as mine is. The concept of money back doesn't necessarily seem to fit. If the client's not satisfied, it never seems to come up in discussion, so it doesn't seem appropriate, although it might be.
Okay, so you would judge it on a case-by-case basis.
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would definitely, if something is wrong, I'll definitely make it good and make sure the client, at no cost, and then make sure the client is happy about that. But the concept of money back, to me, doesn't really seem to fit.
Yeah, and professional services is a different sort of situation, I guess, where you really want to satisfy the customer, and the customer's more likely to want you to fix things up than have their money back because they want the outcome.
They do.
Yeah.
Yep. And if there's going to be an ongoing relationship, they definitely want some satisfaction and they want some confidence, and they're not going to get that by getting money back.
No, absolutely. All right, Kevin, thank you very much for that. I'm going to mute your microphones again and go through to the end of the webinar. So we're coming to the end of our time. So here's some tips for crafting your copy. Obviously, it'll change a little bit depending on what media or medium you're going to use, but I still strongly recommend that if you haven't done so, do yourself a favor and work through that marketing questionnaire. It takes a little while and it will test your brain, and you've got to try and think of things from your prospects and target market's point of view. It's about getting to know your target market, know their greatest wants, needs and desires, and where they hang out. So how are you going to get in touch with them? How are you going to meet up with them? How are you going to get your message to them, basically? If you're trying to get your message across to Gen Y people, you're probably not going to use newspaper advertising or print media because they don't seem to go there these days. You're going to choose the right medium, like the example I gave before of hard copy newsletters, surveys, questionnaires, or fax. It may be online, but you've got to find out where you're going to get in touch with these guys. It might be through associations or something like that, as in business and industry associations. So know how you're going to reach them. And then headlines. This is a fantastic topic. We could spend a whole session just on headlines, but the idea of a headline is to get people's attention. And then you have subheadlines to get them to read on, and and keep reading your marketing material. It's the old, another acronym that's used in marketing a fair bit is AIDA, A-I-D-A, which simply means get their attention, get their interest, create a desire, and then get some action, call for action. So AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action. And headlines go a long way to do that. So with that book, Biology, that's a pretty catchy headline, the way it's written, but then you've got a subhead of how everything we believe about why we buy is wrong. When I saw that, I thought, that's got to be an interesting read. And then it's got a quote from the Spectator at the bottom saying, be prepared to have your cherished beliefs overturned. I like a challenge like that, so I had no hesitation in buying that book. Make your offer compelling. Don't make it wishy-washy or difficult or complicated. Keep it simple. Offer a guarantee just to remove that resistance to buying, and then have some urgency in your call for action. So there's 10 tips for crafting good copy. So let's just summarize. It's not about you, your product or service or brand, etc. It's about your prospect and what they want. So think prospect, not product, and never assume that you know what your prospects want. Find out. A client of mine who did the customer survey put together, with my help, some very good questions, and to her credit, most of the questions were hers, but one of the things that she did in that survey was question people about what they liked or didn't like about the industry. And from that, she was able to pick up some really good things that she wouldn't have thought or assumed or come to that conclusion herself, about what her prospects didn't like about the industry. Then she was able to structure her marketing to say, well, we're not like that. We don't do those sort of things. We're different. Worked really, really, really well. So never assume. Understand what their needs, wants, and desires are. Never do marketing without a call for action. Otherwise, how are you going to measure how effective your marketing is? Always measure the results. Don't do it if you can't. If you believe in your product or service, guarantee it in some way, shape, or form. And choose your market, message, and media. I think we covered all those points a fair bit. So just very quickly, I'll turn your microphones on. Any questions or comments? We've got 2 minutes left. Disagree, agree? Absolute silence. Okay. Obviously, you all agree.
I agree with
me.
just about everything.
No, I was going to assume that by the no complaints. Then obviously you all agree with everything I've said. So, and obviously this is very general and it's very basic, but it covers most of the things for most people. So thank you for that.
John, how did the person you just mentioned do her survey?
Yep.
Was it on her own clients, or did she go and do them somewhere else?
No. It was to the whole niche market that she's targeting. So obviously some of her clients were on there, but a lot of them were not her clients. And I can tell you, because she's quite open about it, she does occupational therapy in hands. So she treats hand injuries. So her prospects are not people with hand injuries. Her prospects are referrers. Referrers being GPs, surgeons, plastic surgeons, all those kind of people. People who are extremely time poor, don't spend a lot of time on the internet, don't respond to emails or e-newsletters, and generally have a gatekeeper on the front desk to stop you getting your marketing material to them. So quite a challenge. Very challenging. But what she did was, we worked quite long and hard on this in the lead up to it, but she put together a pre-survey questionnaire saying there's a survey coming. So she sent out a little package to all these practices with the person's name on, and with a small hand cream inside the package and a card saying there's a survey coming, there's a bottle of Grange as a prize for completing the survey. Yeah, sorry, you'll go into a draw for a bottle of Grange for completing the survey. And so two things. The lumpy mail got, in a lot of cases, past the gatekeeper a lot more effectively and didn't go in the bin, so it got to the target. The target now, it got the target's attention. They knew there was a survey coming. They like Grange red wine, and so they were expecting to see the survey. Now the gatekeeper's not going to be so quick to throw the survey in the bin when it comes in. So then a period after the hand cream and that went out, the survey went out in hard copy, and they were asked to fill in the hard copy and fax it back. So the return rate was pretty good, and a lot of it came from people who were her target, but not her actual clients. And they were very open and honest about what they didn't like about occupational therapists and things like that. Not her particularly. Generally the feedback about her services was very good, but it was about the industry in general, which then gave her, as I say, things to target, things not to do, if you like, to be different. So does that answer your question, Jean?
Yes, very interesting example. Thank you.
Yeah, so it requires a bit of thought. The questions definitely need to be good questions, but also you need to think about, well, who are your target, how are you going to get it to them, and how are you going to get them to respond. So, okay, thank you for that. I'll mute your microphones again and we'll just wrap up because we're out of time. In terms of preparation for the next workshop, I still recommend you complete the marketing questionnaire because you'll learn a lot about your business, and get somebody else to sit with you and ask you the questions and give you some ideas if you're struggling. Have a go at writing some copy for yourself using the 8 steps about pain, aggravate the pain, solution, so on and so on. Have a go at that and decide where you would use the copy. So what media or medium would you use, and how would you use it? And be prepared to share whatever digital media marketing, so website, social media, any online stuff you've got with Peter, who will be facilitating the next workshop for you. So Peter Butler's business is Smarter Websites. He's good in workshop situations. He'll give you a very entertaining and very insightful view on what's happening on the internet and digital media marketing in general. So don't miss that session, and come along being prepared to show some of your websites and stuff. The Wi-Fi will be on, and Peter will have a look at some of those things for you while I'm away enjoying myself on the other side of the planet somewhere, and hopefully not getting too cold or too wet. If you want any more from me, and this is for people who don't, on the call, who don't know other things that I do, but I do run mentoring groups and mentoring and coaching one-on-one with people, seminars and workshops on a variety of topics, as well as webinars, and facilitate workshops specifically to suit your requirements for strategic planning, business planning, a whole range of whatever you need in your business. And if it's not something that I feel comfortable doing, then I won't take it on. Business buyer and seller advisory services, because of my 5 years of business broking, then I got some good experience in helping buyers buy and sellers sell. So thank you all very much for being on the webinar. This recording will be available within about 24 hours and will be put up on YouTube, and you'll get a link to show you how to access that so you can watch it again in your own time. Thank you for being on the call. There's some places that you can contact me or find me online, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next workshop or at the next webinar. So thank you very much, and goodbye for now.